Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
Looking darkly upon Hector, swift-footed Achilles answered, I cannot forgive you. As there are no trustworthy oaths between men and lions, there can be no love between you and me. One or the other must fall, before then to glut with his blood, Ares, the god who fights under the shield's guard. Remember every valor of yours, for now the need comes hardest upon you to be a spearman and a bold warrior. There shall be no escape for you. You will pay in a lump for all those sorrows of my companions you killed in your spear's fury. This is The Long War. I'm Mike Haspel, and I'm here with my compatriots, Kenny Boucher and Stephen Four. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? Shout out to Mike Haspel. If I'm not mistaken, Haspel, was that all on memory right there?
That's from the Iliad.
Yeah, it's the Iliad. It's not the movie quote. The movie quote was simply, there can be no pacts between lions and men.
Absolutely. I thought that he was done then. Then he went on to and I was sitting there like, I didn't know that that's what the actual line was. Haspel, you're an animal. I've always known that you're an animal, but you are definitely a Moby Dick.
Nice.
That is a type of animal, yes.
Yes, yeah. And it turns out I memorize a lot of quotes like that.
I used to have every baller movie quote of all time memorized. And when I say baller, I mean Jay Silent Bob quotes, only Jay Silent Bob quotes. But I had them all, every single one of them.
Dude, I thought when Haspel was like, yo, I've got this one memorized. No doubt I've got this. Don't worry about it, guys. I was thinking he was like a Will Smith Independence Day, like, oh, no, you didn't shoot that green shit at me. Like, that's my shit. Like, welcome to Earth,
Yeah.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Church. I like
my
it.
favorite Men in Black line.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite lines. I thought it was appropriate, right before a tournament, a little ancient smack talking going down.
That is an ancient quote, and we are going into smack. So basically what you're saying is smack talking is as old as time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. back in the day when warfare was a little slower, a little more close up, and you could actually stop and smack talk to somebody, to some champion.
Or potentially
going down.
Yeah, or even potentially in the future where 40,000 years in the future, there's only war with power fists and chain swords.
Yeah. Smack talking's back in the future.
It is.
You remember that quote I put up on Facebook the other day where it was like, in history class when you were like, what would I be doing back in those days if I was alive in those days? And it's like, motherfucker, you're alive now. This is what you would be doing. Right. That quote I posted. And I was like, and then we started talking. And it's like, what if we were in 41st millennium? What would we be? I was like, I guess I'd be a cultist. Like, we'd be dead. I'd be a servo skull.
I'd be a servo skull. That was like the best thing I could come up with. I was like, I don't want to be dead in the 41st millennium.
I might make it to servo skull.
Yeah, I could be a servo skull.
and I finally just figured it out. If I was alive in those times, I'd be like, well, I just would be straight up dead. I was like, no. If I was a warrior, I'd kick ass. If smack talking was like standardized, if like literally how baller you were at fucking being an asshole to that guy and like being totally a dick and getting the whole crowd to be like, oh shit, he just said your mama's so fat. Your mom's so fat that she has a microwave as a beeper. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally, I got this. That's all there is to battle warfare, right? Got this. Win-win.
Check mark champion.
Yep. And then it turns out you're like, oh man, I'm so baller. I've been practicing this sword move, my Wu-Tang sword style for years. No one can match me. Is that motherfucker holding a bow?
Oh fuck.
Bows are OP.
Bows are so OP. And it turns out it's not even a bow. It's a crossbow. He didn't even have to train.
You literally found that guy. They found that guy fighting another homeless guy in the gutter for a rat corpse yesterday, and he gave him a crossbow today. Like,
not only did they give him a crossbow, they gave him a plasma crossbow because that's the only individuals who would have that in the future, and it literally nukes you and Haspel at the same time because it's a blast.
It's like,
oh yes, don't give me a Voxcaster in the 41st millennium.
Are you telling me you'd be the beatbox champion of everyone?
I would. It'd be ridiculous. Yes. No orders this turn, guys. Today I'm gonna lay a fresh beat so you can kick their asses. So,
Creed is trying to call out the most epic of every order. He's trying to do this and this, and all of a sudden you hit him with a Good Morning Vietnam and a mixtape.
You just hear like a clutch beatbox. And Creed's like, what are you doing? It's like laying a fat beat so you can kick these guys' asses, man. Like, what are you talking about? That's like why you hired me.
Yeah, read a book.
Stupid. Yeah, I don't want to tell you do your job, Creed, but you sound stupid right now. Oh my God. Speaking of stupid. So there's this thing I had to say. I want to get it out the top right now. I was literally we were talking about pens earlier and how pens are stupid. And they're not that they're stupid. It's just that Juice and I kind of both have the same problem with small things. They don't exist. Right? Like
it's a real disorder.
It's a thing. Like
small things don't matter disorder.
We both have it. Like I can't tell you how many times because I have a whole shipping operation out here for my Twitch. And I literally handwrite notes and shit like that. I'll write a note to somebody and then I'll put it and pack it up, put the label on it. Then I'll be like, where the fuck's my pen? There it is, discarded on the ground over there. Grab it, write a new one. Label it. Where the fuck's my pen again? In the trash now. Like, how the fuck does this?
Where it belongs.
Yeah.
Pins in our minds are single use only.
Yeah. Dumb. Hate them.
Till we need it again.
And in which case I'm like, God damn it. And so we were talking about pens being stupid. Somebody made a comment about like the pen. It turns out pens aren't mighty. This is a true story I'm about to tell you guys. This is real. This actually happened. This is my brother, whom I'll bring up often, who's also going to love this episode because we're going to be bantering a lot. And he says he hates our show if we talk about anything real. So this one's for you, David. We were back in the old days. I owned a gaming store called UGS, the Ultimate Gaming Source. And it was awesomely named because I got people calling me all the time. It's like, yo, you got casino chips? It's like, what do you think? I'm some kind of source for your ultimate gaming needs? Get the fuck out of here. 40K only. We had it for a year. It was totally awesome. We played games. It was literally a glorified clubhouse that we got to scratch together to run for a year before we lost so much money. We just had to close it down. That old chestnut. And there's this one time we had this friend, and I hope he listens to the show. I don't know where he is. I see him on Facebook sometimes. His name's Franco. And this guy did all the cool martial arts training. He did all the cool classes, had katanas. This dude was always like coming in, yo, check out this new shit I learned. Always, and he was good friends with Hod. If you guys know us, you probably have heard of Hod too. And him and Hod are just chilling, and Franco's showing off his new katana moves. And David's like, that's tight, but I just don't see it. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I literally would just beat your ass. And he's like, I have a fucking sword. He's like, I'll beat your ass with this pen. and he's
Indiana Jones said that one.
David is literally staring right at Franco, like no deadpan, no smirk, nothing. I will literally beat your ass with this pen. Like whatever you just learned today is bullshit, dog. Like swords are bullshit. And Franco's like, what the fuck is he talking about? I was like, do you want me to demonstrate? He's like, yeah, I mean, this is a practice sword, so like I can't hurt you with it. He's like, all right, you ready? He's like, I'm ready. As soon as he said I'm ready, David threw the pen right at his face. Right in his eyes, dude. Like literally just right at him like a ninja star. And Franco obviously closes his eyes and like kind of covers
drops his sword.
Doesn't drop the sword yet. Oh. Like he covers his eyes and kind of puts the sword out. And David literally just grabs the sword out of his fucking hand.
There it is.
He's like, yeah. Literally, you don't have to feel bad about it. This works on anyone literally all day. He's like, watch. And he had the cap of the pen still, and he threw it at Hod's face, and it literally just bounced off of Hod's nose, like right in between his eyes. Hod didn't even blink. He's like, what? Like, eyes didn't even close. He's like, well, I would have died. Like, Hod would have killed me. Got it.
Yeah. So Hod, turns out, don't give Hod a sword.
Hod will literally murder everyone. You can't. Like, I was like, how the fuck is a pen going to come shooting straight at your face, Hod? You didn't even close your eyes. He's like, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was a hit me in the eyes. I was like, word.
Process analysis. Got it.
Hod, you're a dangerous person.
There's only two people in the world that can do that. You and the Terminator. You decided that it was a 78% chance.
And one of those people is fiction. So you're the only person.
So there it is.
Hod is a T1000. T100 at least.
Yeah, at least he's at least a TI-83. Well, look, why we've got everybody in laughing spirits because there's no reason to get down, and we've got a lot of positive stuff to talk about. I did just want to bring us into today is is a special day, especially for me, not necessarily in a good way, but today is the 1 year mark, my father passing. I know a lot of people have been on this journey with me for the last 2 years. And today marks the one year anniversary of my father passing of cancer, losing his battle. And it's been, to be honest, a lot of people have messaged me. A lot of people have done try to do some generous things today. And I'm like, look, guys, I've been fighting this battle, every day since he's passed. Today's no other different. So it is what it is. But I thought it would be funny to tell why we're doing this and make sure that. Other Boucher brother, that you listen along just a little bit further. So here we go. I am about 6 years old. So me and my brother were born on the same day, 2 years apart. This is not 40K talk, so you can still listen. So we are 2 years apart. He is 2 years older. I'm about 5 or 6. My brother is 2 years older. So here we go. We're outside. My dad, he was actually a Boy Scout leader. He was always, he was just in the woods teaching everybody. Growing up, I grew up with snakes in the house. We grew up with, it doesn't matter, anything and everything. Spiders, we built stuff, knew how to tie knots, did all this. That was him, and so anything and everything he could do with us and anybody else and teach somebody something. So here it was day for me to learn how to use, a slingshot. Pretty monumental day, and so now I can see the light. Here I am. I'm becoming a boy because I don't have, and this isn't like this old school or this new school, like wrist rocket. I'm sure like Kenny, you and David had was like wrist rocket shooting at each other.
Yes, mine can literally kill somebody. Yes, I was thinking that. I'm glad you made the clarifications because I remember when my dad taught me, it was murder.
No.
It was easy.
No. We had two dogwood trees at our house, right? One in the front, one in the back. So he takes me out literally 2 days before this, and we have to whittle. That's what he would call it. Like, we're literally whittling. Like, I don't even know if anybody uses that term anymore, but like we would have to whittle with our own like butter knife and this, like our own slingshot, so here it is. So here we go. I'm out there. I've got my slingshot ready. Well, come to find out, it's not even mine. I'm not even old enough yet. The day of, I thought I was doing something. He was just teaching me and showing me. Come to find out, this isn't my day. This is, my brother, he's 8, he's doing his thing. And actually, I think we were 4 and 6. I was 4. He was 6, because we got shotguns at 8 and 6. So either way, so my brother's older, I'm younger. That's the moral of the story. So he's got his that he'd been working on. We're at the dogwood tree. He pulls it back, does it. I am pissed. I am salty. I am like Mike Haspel, salt tears running down my eyes when I realized how good Chaos is. They got some new rules and I didn't. So I'm like, so they bust off a couple rubber band shots, right? Knock down some targets that they're doing. They're all happy. I'm sitting over here, salty McSalterton. They go to reset the targets, them two. Here I am. I got this. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm any second, I'm going to shit in my diaper. It doesn't matter, but I got this. I scooped up my brother's freshly whittled slingshot, and I draw it back. And I wish that I could be in front of everybody right now. It's 2017. It's a wonder I'm not a digital picture in front of everybody as I'm describing this. But I draw this back, and I'm like, hey, Dad, watch this. I literally grab it, and guess which way my arm goes whenever I'm drawing the rubber band back? Not to my face, away to my face. And I'm drawing this thing up. I literally have the slingshot in reverse. Oh, swear to God, I can't make this up. So, and I've got this up, and I can't remember, we're using like medium-sized rocks. And I draw this joker up, and I'm talking about in my mind, I know I'm doing something. I know I'm doing it. And I draw it up, and I've got my eye straight down the rock, looking at the little cherry blossom that I'm about to hit, and I let go. That damn thing hits me dead in my eye.
Oh no!
First black eye was from the slingshot.
Self-inflicted black eye.
I'm talking about like, bam, my brother and Dad both start busting out laughing. Now, I want you guys to know, I'm a solid 40 yards from the house with steps, you know what I mean? Door closed. And I grew up in a house too, love my dad to death, my mom, everybody, but like, if you're not broken, like blood's one thing. If you're not broken, shut up. It'll be fine. We grew up in a house of boys, like get on and get through it. I am screaming so loud. My brother and dad are literally dying laughing on the ground. Don't even come to my aid. My mom comes out of the house, out of the screen door or out of the glass door that was shut. She hears me and runs down and was able to pick me up and try to comfort me way before my dad and brother was. So that was just a funny story, of my childhood.
I love it. Classic illustration of the difference in parenting roles in classical family. Dad and brother laughing at your pain and suffering. Mom goes to your aid.
I thought I was dead. I was like, this rock is penetrating my brain. I am done, so either way, that's what it was. I was I wanted to grow up way too fast. So my
man Sindri Tempek says Juice got rocked.
Yeah,
that's actually true story. And then 20 years later, I still had rocks. So
you might not know this about me, Joe Rogan. I smoke rock.
I smoke rock. So either way, Haspel, now that we've got all the stories out of the way, David, please don't turn the episode off yet.
Please, David, now that we have your approval, Haspel, give us some content, please.
Give us some content because we need it.
I'm gonna try to fill in for Robbie B on the tabletop marketplace and everything. Of course, unless you've been living under a rock, we've got the Gathering Storm. Is it part 2 or part 3? I feel like it's the second part, right? Because the first part was the Fall of Acadia. The second part is the Beltan Eldar nonsense. And we do have a correction to make. Last week, I think we started speculating that GW is changing the name of the Eldar to Eldari. I feel like that might be wrong, and the reason I think that might be wrong now is that, and we of course reserve the right to backtrack on anything we say here. Where these aren't, we'll just call them alternate facts from now on. So, GW released a little poster that had this story of Yennead on there, where they used the term Eldari and Eldar almost interchangeably. Like it was Eldari kind of meant the overarching race, I guess.
Like the spirit of the race?
Well, almost like...
Well, because that's how Tolkien used it. It's like they were elves, but it was like the people, it was the Eldar people, like their spirit, right? Like...
Yeah, well, it's almost like the way they used it, they meant all the Eldar. Whereas Eldar almost meant not Dark Eldar.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that's and I feel
maybe Eldar is a person, but we're humans together. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was used. It's on there. It's basically Eldar and Eldari. The way they used it, it was almost like, Eldari is their word for their culture, and Eldar is what we call them.
Oh, sick. And Evan Valdyke says that a Black Library author came out with an official statement saying it's both Eldar and Eldari. It's like Astra Militem and Imperial Guard.
And Imperial Guard, okay.
And that's true. It's like the title of is the Astra Militarum, and you are an Imperial Guardsman. So definitely makes sense. And I do like that concept of what we call them versus what they call each other too. There's a lot of precedence in all sci-fi for having dual names, and I like that.
Haspel, cool.
Haspel, would you go down this path with me that they used Eldari as if they were speaking High Gothic?
Yeah, it could be that, and that Eldar is their version of Low Gothic.
Absolutely.
Or to take it to nerddom level, that Eldari is Quenya and Eldar is Sindarin. And if you're a Tolkien nerd, that will make sense to you. All right. So anyway, we have now the Eldari version of the Triumvirate, whereas the Imperium got Greythax, Saint Celestine, and Belisarius Cawl. These guys are getting Yvraine, which is the emissary of Yennead, Ingarn, which is the avatar of Yennead, and the Vizarch, which is the sword of Yennead. And one interesting thing is everybody's noticed that the in Garn, the avatar of Ynead looks an awful lot like a Slaanesh model. Like, looks just like a Slaanesh model. If I didn't tell you it was an Eldar model.
I'd be like, oh, sick new keeper of secrets.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh man. So it looks very, very, you know, Slaanesh.
But but we're talking like monstrous creature style, not like infantry model.
No, exactly. It's big.
Yeah, because it's an avatar. It's like like the avatar is the avatar of Cain. The living embodied. It's just like everything, and that's kind of been GW style since the beginning. Like greater demons are the avatars of the gods. You know, like it's what it is, and so like that's always been that way. And so this is an avatar of a different god from the Eldar, and it's looking like Slaanesh.
Yeah, so it's opened up a whole mess of stuff. I was debating with a couple people because I was just like, so what if Ynead is Slaanesh? Like, what if it's different aspects of the same thing? So because the Dark Eldar pretty much Slaanesh, you know what I mean? They're all about the excess.
Yeah, and it's not like the Eldar hate the Dark Eldar. It's their brothers that have fallen. It's not like, and it's their fault. It's like they birthed this excess and this taint together, and these people fell to it. And so basically, and also I look at it as like Inquisition. The Inquisition, though they despise the demonic influence, are not above using the demonic influence to battle the demonic influence.
Right. And it's like
it's a sketchy, blurred ass line to be on, but are we looking at maybe, you know, Eldred's answer to that, like in his inquisitorial unit of like, we're gonna fight demons with demons kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I don't know, because there's a whole storyline where Eldrad is now under trial. I guess that's how this Gathering Storm thing starts, and they threw it some hints that said that even though the Death Watch thought they stopped Eldrad at that battle that was in the board game Death Mask, he may not have gotten stopped. Like, that might not have been what had happened. It might be all according to plan, Eldar.
And if anyone can pull that off, it would be Eldred.
It would be Eldred.
It would be like, oh yes, no, yeah, you totally fucked. Little did you know, in this ceremony, I had to summon him to this point. Then I have to take exactly this many days off. And then on the third moon of the rising on this planet, I do this. And I just made it, and I just organized it so you guys thought you stopped us.
Right.
Yeah, so come to find out, if you use a lot of words, but you ultimately have the power of Fate Weaver, you sound a whole lot like Fate Weaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, let me put it this way, motherfuckers. Have you ever seen this movie called The Ring? You watch the tape, and then 7 days later you die, motherfucker. Not today. Like,
so I just was thinking, I'm like, it looks so much like a Slaanesh model. The Dark Eldar are all about Slaanesh, and apparently, you know, in the Eldar lore, the Dark Eldar are closer to what the Eldar were when Slaanesh got birthed. And it's like the Eldar that we know from the craft worlds were the kind of purists that said,
they were the Puritans who settled in America, and
yeah, they were the Puritans that went, hey, we went too far. So it's just kind of interesting to see that, hey, you go through all this entire thing to birth Ynead, which is a myth. And we all know people do not get myths right or prophecies correct. So it could be like they go, oh, well, Ynead's going to kill Slaanesh. And it's one of those things like, well, you know, I did say that he destroyed your father from a certain point of view.
Have you ever read a book where somebody summoned some shit that they weren't like say like a witch said, oh, we're going to summon this deity to do this thing. I mean, like, are you down with this deity? Well, I mean, I read a book about this deity. Like, I mean, are you like one of his worshipers? No, but I read a book and he can do this and he can help us with this. Word. Has that ever worked out in the history of any novel, any work of fiction, anything? That shit never works out.
Never.
Well, what I was thinking was more along the lines of like the Star Wars trilogy. It's like, oh yeah, Darth Vader destroyed your father, right? And then it turns out, well, Darth Vader is your father. But he did destroy Anakin Skywalker. Like, so it could just be like, yeah, the guy Ynead's going to get birthed and destroy Slaanesh. Only it turns out that like Ynead is just the flip side of Slaanesh.
Or it turns out Ynead, yeah, you destroyed Slaanesh to make Ynead. Like,
it's kind of still not good. Okay, maybe She Who Thirsts is not going to eat all the Eldar souls, but but you're still dealing with that.
She's gonna own that ass today.
Yeah, but she's not gonna be hungry. That's all I'm saying. You know, like.
So it's just kind of interesting there. And then that's dropping. Then we've got rumors. Well, before we get to the rumors, we've got a book that I'm really looking forward to. It's called Garo. And it is, and I forgot the guy's name already. Is
it a what?
It's a Black Library book. He's one of my favorite authors too. And he wrote Flight of the Eisenstein.
Of course, I was gonna say, of course, you're talking. Flight of the Eisenstein is the best book for sure. Like, I mean, from my opinion, I think a lot of people would agree with me. It's controversial. It's so intense, and literally, so it's about the same character, the Death Guard individual.
Right. So it's James Swallow. Thank you, Adam. I just completely went blank on that. It is James Swallow wrote Flight of the Eisenstein. He also wrote Garo. Well, the thing is, starting with the audio dramas, they came out with Garo Oath of Moment, and it started about like talking about how Garo became the emissary of man, why am I blanking? I'm having old people moments right now.
in the immortal words of Aeneid. Give me that. Give me that ass.
Give me that ass.
I'm being terrible, right? So
well, I'm gonna give Haspel a second.
Who's the guy who runs everything for the Emperor? He's a human though.
Marnius Calgar.
No.
Oh,
He's not a human.
Salt. I just want you to know, salt tears just went upon.
You talk about that human?
Angels' faces.
He's a human guy. He runs everything for the Emperor. He's the Malcador the Sigilite. Thank you, Carlos. I'm losing. Like, I scored a bunch of geek cred and then I lost it all. It was like, oh no! In the bonus round, you lose everything.
You're being a real Aeneid right now.
That might be the best use of it yet.
You're being a Aeneid. We're gonna have to use that all weekend. But yeah, anyway, he wrote this. He did some audio dramas about Garo, and Garo becomes the emissary of Malcador, and Malcador is sending him out on these missions to go gather all these other guys. And there's a bunch of different audio dramas, and there's a short story too. Well, what they've done is they've combined that entire saga of Garo in this one book called Garo by James Swallow. And James Swallow has written additional chapters that flesh out what happens in between the different audio dramas. And the audio dramas aren't just verbatim put into this book. They have been novelized. So it's not just the 30-minute audio drama you listen to or an hour-long audio drama you listen to. It's got additional content in it. And everything is all in this one book. And that drops, I think, this weekend as well. From the Black Library. They had it available as an EPUB earlier during the whole run up to Christmas, but this is actually a physical book. So that should be
that's gangster. Haspel, I need to know, just on a side note, give me a scale 1 to 10 on where you rate Warriors of Ultramar on the best books of all time that GW's ever produced.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, dude. I am sorry. I have so many books in my queue. And I have not made it there yet. I'm telling you what, if Black Library can get on audible.com, it's game over.
My God. Literally, I'm just like, Black Library, why the fuck are you being
take my money?
You're being a real Aeneid about this situation right now.
Then we've got some rumors that are dropping, and these are beyond rumors. This is calling them rumors is not doing them justice. We've actually seen pictures of this, and it is of some terrain kits that are coming out, and it looks like these terrain kits are not huge. I'm guessing they're probably going to be like an Aegis defense line, maybe a little bit bigger. But the reason they're important is because they're all Xenos terrain. So we've got the Eldritch Ruins.
No, that's clutch, because all basic fortifications up until very recently have all been from the Imperial Slant, which means you have to go in there, kind of convert it if you want to have a flare. But at the end of the day, I'd love to see some Xenos versions.
No, absolutely. And especially they went off on one. I know they did a couple Chaos, and I even think that was the Wall of Martyrs, and they did some Tau stuff. I cannot wait for them to break into all the other different races, especially in my mind, some NID stuff.
Well, there's some stuff that you might be able to use for NIDS in this, but the 4 different kinds they have are Eldritch Ruins, which look very Eldari. They have like the same little sigil that's on top of a Eldrad staff on there. They have this thing called the Shardrak Spines, which could pass for maybe some Tyranid stuff, but it's definitely like Xenos foliage. The Barbed Venom Gorse, which looks like some kind of a forest, and then one called the Death World Forest. So I don't think that they're fortifications. It looks like in the back of the rule book how it has the woods that we have back there, and the other pieces of terrain that are back there that are not fortifications. That's what these look like. And because they look like a Death World and Forest, but they look very alien, they look Eldari, I'm thinking this could be a hint that they're going to bring back Exodites. So, that's the rumor part.
I think you're right, but also, I mean, through some pretty solid, reliable sources in the last 24 hours, I have heard some pretty convincing stuff about 8th edition 40K.
Ooh.
Really? I mean, solid people obviously protect the source. I will never mention the individuals who've talked to me and what their sources are and stuff like that. But I've heard some pretty interesting through my orbital string, through my network, and I've heard some pretty interesting stuff. And a lot of what this new stuff reminds me of is a lot of what's going on in Age of Sigmar, And what I've heard, and this is rumor, but I find it to be slightly reliable, is that you can expect a complete overhaul of the rules. And not one as dramatic as we thought or as simplified as we thought, but we are facing a complete redesign. But nothing that invalidates codexes, because they've put too much stock in codexes already in the last 24 months.
Obviously, with FAQs on top of that to solidify
too much human resource, too much actual financial resource. You would lose too many people if you were like, all the books we bought in the last 24 months you can't use. So, and that's also plays into something Robbie B talks about, where he says like, no, they're not even trying to remake codexes anymore. They're just trying to add to them. So what I've heard is that, like, from my source, is that you can expect a complete redesign, a somewhat simplification of the process with Age of Sigmar overtones, and Codex is just being updated. And remember, they did that in 6th edition. We had a pretty rapid fire response to Codex updates right when 6 dropped. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So this is my rumor of the day right here. And now, as I look at these new terrain features and like what their rules are and stuff like that, it totally has feelings of that new type of gaming system, where things are just a little bit more interactive, a little bit more interesting, instead of this is a wall, I get a 4 cover save.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that could definitely play in. We know that Age of Sigmar uses terrain that you can actually buy as part of your army, and that has its own rules.
Yeah.
So,
one of the most popular things right now is the Sylvaneth and the Wildwoods, man. And the woods are just crazy, and the things you can do with them. And I think that's just the beginning. I think that's the floodgates are getting ready to be opened here, just turned on, create an entirely more narrative, interactive experience. I do believe, from what I've heard and read from my peoples, that 40K will still remain their more advanced version. They're more like, quote unquote, competitive version of their game systems, where, the entry level of Age of Sigmar is entry level, because there's almost no fucking way to break into 40K right now. It's almost impossible.
Kill Team is about the only way you can really do it.
Yes, and that's why Kill Team exists.
And that's why they've created so many games with all the models that are already existing, whether it's a knight, whether it's the scout one with gene stealers and scouts, whether it's the death mask, anything, it doesn't matter. To be honest, I just want to go ahead and out there and say, and we haven't even talked about this offline, potentially behind closed doors. If GW right now, I'm here to tell you, if they release tomorrow and I wake up at 5 a.m. and I read and it was like, Games Workshop has completely redone Warhammer 40K. It is not the Warhammer that you remember. Something is so drastic, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, I have done some codex revamping. I have done some shifting in where I put my stock in an army, but ultimately at the end of the day, I play Warhammer 40K. I will never, and I do not reserve the right to backpedal from this, I will never look at if GW comes in so hot that they drastically change something, that I'm that guy that's burning my models on the internet. We have been trying to talk people off the ledge for 3 editions now, who and we'll be the first ones to talk about. Haspel and I will be the first ones to talk about some 3rd edition rules, and Kenny and I will talk about something that happened in 4th edition. But you want to know what? We live in the now. And so there's nothing that GW is going to do or potentially will do in the future that is going to deter me from playing the game that I've been playing for so long. And if for some reason everybody going over to longwar.net, become a veteran of the Long War today, because if GW does make the drastic mistake of ruining their game and all their fan base, just know that the longwar.net will pick up where they left off. And we will be front runners in the new 41st millennium.
And I might burn an army on YouTube, but it wouldn't be my models. It might be like an Eldar army. People are like, why is Mike doesn't play Eldar? Why is he burning an Eldar army on YouTube? For kicks.
No. Don't get it twisted. Haspel's on YouTube with 1 million hits, burning a chaos army, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?" And then half of us chime in like, "Nah, dog, like he just does that every Saturday."
Yeah, this is a 2 thing.
he just burns an army. He spends his money online on eBay to buy the good deal army, so no one else can have it, so he can burn it.
So this is going to be a quick subject change, because speaking of people getting salty over armies or whatever, I feel like, and we're not going to beat this dead horse too bad, but I feel like somebody at PETA got tabled by Space Wolves. Because if you had to have also been living under a rock, PETA organized basically a publicity stunt where they sent out a letter to GW.
It was a press release. They sent it out to all major reporting agencies in the industry. Yeah. It's a literal. So basically, we'll talk about this before we go on commercial break. But like, it's the literal definition of a publicity stunt. They did send out press releases to everybody, including our network, to Spikey Bits. They said we literally showed the email on Twitch stream on Monday to just let everyone know how fake this really is. It's not like, it's literally a publicity stunt where they let Rob know what the deal was, and if he would run the article, and Rob's response, and I'm quoting from memory here, was simply, "Good luck with your publicity stunt. You just reminded me I have a lot of great tutorials on how to green stuff and model fur cloaks onto your models. I think it's time to run those articles again."
Yeah. So, and then one last thing before we commercial break. Inferno is pending, being dropped any day now from Forge World. And it is that is the burning of Prospero, Space Wolves and Thousand Suns in 30K for their 30K thing. And I'm going to go ahead and reset the clock right now. There is a piece of artwork that is leaked from that book, and it shows Space Wolves coming in hot on some transports. And in the background, behind the lead Thunderhawk, there is a Thunderhawk that is not the standard configuration. The wings are like tilted down a little bit. It doesn't have a horizontal stabilizer on the tail. And here comes the clock reset. I'm going to call it right now. It's Plastic Thunderhawk. Okay, reset the clock. We don't have to worry about that ever happening for another year.
Haspel, I want you to truly know that I thought the punchline was coming, and then in the shadows, right above the right cloud, above the second Thunderhawk, was the sleigh. That everyone thought that there was Santa in it, but it wasn't.
No.
It was Logan Grimnar.
Logan Grimnar, son of a bitch.
That mother.
Dear veterans, quickly make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
elrixhobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elrix Hobbies. elrixhobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. And it is the eve of the Las Vegas Open 2017.
Hours away.
Hours away. Literally, Thursday is the big day that everyone's flying in, open gaming, people getting their drinks on. And let me say this. Listen to me if you can. Literally, open your hearts to what I'm about to say. We're going to be drunk as fuck. Me and Mike Haspel are going to be twisted. And I mean that in the most responsible way you can take that, but we're going to be drunk.
Irresponsibly.
Responsibly, I guess. Like, irresponsible for what you guys would consider responsibility is, but it's Tuesday afternoon for us.
That's right.
We're going to be there.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but right now it's...
But it's 2:30 in the afternoon, right?
That's right.
Plus, it's Vegas. I mean, how much trouble could a blackout drunk get into?
Yeah, no, literally, there's nothing's ever happened there that you'd be ashamed of. And so, guys, this is if you're listening to this, is Thursday. It's the normal day the show comes out. Me and Mike Haspel have probably already linked up in Las Vegas. I'm driving straight to him. He's landing at 1. I'm at the airport. I'm getting to the airport at 1. Picking him up in my big rig, my 18-wheeler. Right, like we talked about this before. I'm rolling right up to the airplane. He's jumping right out. Literally emergency exit right into the back. And we're gone. He's bound and down trucking. We're gonna do what they say can't be done. Okay,
that's it. They're literally switching arms for Sylvester Stallone's rig to get ready for the arm competitions.
Arm. That is the official term of arm wrestling. Is arm.
Arm competition. I'm sorry, I was having a Mike Haswell moment. I was preemptively laughing in my mind, so it stopped me.
And so we're gonna show up. We're going to be attempting to play open gaming, depending on what time they open the hall, depending on whatever their schedule is. Haspel and I do have plans on being in the hall up until about 9 p.m., filming a guerrilla battle report. It will be a game that we're about to talk about because we're doing LVO breakdown. It will be the rematch because the last guerrilla battle report on the Long War Network on thelongwar.net was between Mike and myself in his Beats Lab in Colorado when I visited last year. Chaos versus Space Wolves. It will be another Chaos versus Space Wolves. Different lists, different styles, but round 2.
Yeah.
And Haspel, I'm gonna turn it over to you and Juice to break your list down and what's new and some of the cool things because we're going to LVO. It is the most competitive tournament in the world, the biggest singles event in the history of our gaming, of the whole history of wargaming since the dawn of time, for sure. It's an incredible achievement, but first and foremost, it is competitive beyond all belief.
I want to say literally everything Kenny just said right there was facts, and we mean that literally, not figuratively. As sometimes we often get it confused here on the show. LVO is making leaps and bounds on what we are doing and what we know as 40K today. So, Haspel, give us a breakdown of what you will be running at LVO and potentially what the one-on-one matchup that we will see and the viewers will see coming up soon.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to lose to Kenny. So spoiler alert right there. And it's not by design. It's just that's the way it happens. I think I beat him once, and it was when the Thunder Cav literally had come out the week before, and Kenny didn't know what they could do.
All right, so first off, after you give your army list breakdown and Kenny does his as well, we're actually going to go through the gauntlet of how you, Mike Haspel, are going to win at LVO.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you guys just heard that, but Siri, my Echo device just turned on and said, Mike Haspel, you are going to win this event.
Dude, okay.
Big brother's always listening.
Okay, so here's the list. First off, we start off, feel like I need some objective secured. So I wind up having 7 objective secured units, but it's a little bit deceptive because it's also their transports. So we've just got basically Blood Claws and Twin Link Last Cannon Razorbacks times 2, then Sisters in Multi-Melta, Twin Link Multi-Melta Immolator, and then Sisters that are going to chill in the back in the fortification I'll get to in a moment. Then we've got our Thunderwolf Cavalry contingent. You know, I've got like 2 mini Death Stars. One of them is a Thunderwolf Cavalry contingent with a Wolf Guard battle leader leading them. You know, it's 5 Thunderwolf Cav guys, all with Storm Shields, bunch of Power Fists, bunch of nonsense in there. Lots of Strength 10 attacks to insta-gib fools. Then I've got 5 Wolfen running with mix of Storm Shields and Thunderhammers and great Frost Axes. Because if I can assault, that Great Frost Axe is awesome. It's Strength 8 at their initiative. So it's at initiative 5. It's just ridiculous. It just hurts people immediately. And then you just have the, Thunderhammers to finish them off. Then we have formation, the Weird Storm Brotherhood. That's 3 Rune Priests. I've got 2 of them on bikes. One of them is on foot, and he has the Helm of Durfast, and I'll get into why we're going to be doing that. And then we have a Sisters CAD, which is St. Celestine, a Ministorum Priest, the aforementioned Battle Sister Squads, and what I'm calling the Marvin the Martian XB 428 Plasma Obliterator, which I guarantee you I will probably be the only Plasma Obliterator in.
The question was posed earlier by Zach. How many do you think? Because after we sold him on how cool this was going to be, he's like, how many do you think are going to, is this the new tech? And we're like, no, there's going to be one.
No, there's going to be one. And here's one easy reason why there's going to be one, right? It's because you're putting together your army, you got to fly out, you're going to Vegas and everything, and you take your Plasma Obliterator and you go to put it in your case. And that sucker is big and it is unwieldy. And you're like, you know what? F this. I'm going to take something else. But I was actually able to get it to fit in a ghetto style.
Well, because you have like a 20-man army, so it worked out for you.
Yeah. So, and the idea behind this is that the Thunderwolf Cav are going to link up with one of the Rune Priests on a bike, and he is going to go for endurance. And if he can get endurance, like on the first roll, which this is like never happened, but it could theoretically happen, then he's going to go for Demonology Sanctic to go for Sanctuary. And it's like if the other Rune Priest that's on a bike, he goes with the Wolfen, and he's going to try to do the exact same thing. Go for endurance. The guy who is on foot with the Helm of Durfast, for those who don't know, the Helm of Durfast is allows you to re-roll failed to hit rolls, so effectively twin linked, and it ignores cover from the shooter's attacks. So that Rune Priest goes inside the Plasma Obliterator. That gives now the Plasma Obliterator Strength 7, AP 2, 7-inch Apocalyptic Blast template, and now it ignores cover. So it becomes scary. And twin linked.
Yep, it's a problem.
So I do have to roll to get hot, but per the fact it'll never get hot.
Yeah,
unless I roll 2 ones in a row.
Dude, that is I know we talk about like, is this a new tech, this and this? No. Obviously, you have figured out how to optimize the models that you have that you want to play with. But let's not get it twisted. That is a gross ass combo.
It is.
It really is nasty. Yeah.
And I've given it a void shield because the easiest way to get rid of a Plasma Obliterator is just to pen it. The building damage table is not friendly to this thing. It makes it fire snapshots, and then you're just done. You're like, oh, okay, I can't shoot. So that's a pain, and that's why I had to give it a void shield so that it could. And it also has an escape hatch
to mitigate that problem, because also, and so the escape hatch is our favorite tech. It's kind of like, and one of my favorite things about Haspel's list is we were in the Beats lab for days working on this list together, and I love the escape hatch trick. That's kind of one of my favorite tricks that I go to back in all my armies now, where basically if you have a fast moving unit and you have a slow moving element that you need for that unit, the escape hatch is a fundamental trick because you get a free 18-inch move because you get to put it 12 inches forward and you get to move out of it 6 inches. So obviously the Ministrome Priest with the Litanies of Faith, the auto pass rerollable armor saves, he can link up with the Thunderwolves, moving 18 inches on turn 1, while the Thunderwolves only moves 12. So they can link up and he can be quick, and then they can run and they can reshuffle. He literally in close combat just automatically says, first off, we're fearless. One of my favorite things. Second off, we have Zealot. So in the first round of close combat, we roll all miss hits. Third off, we are Space Wolves. So we have counterattack. So if you charge this unit, this is what happens. They have an attack bonus. They get to reroll all their attacks, and they get to reroll their 3-up invulnerables, and they all have storm shields.
Yep.
That's for free. And he has the Saint. So she keeps up with the unit, and so now she gives him hit and run. So once you even think you can charge anything you want to this unit, and then they're just gonna hit and run out, and then they're gonna clean your backfield out. It's a mini Death Star that doesn't rely on psychic powers, but if he gets endurance, it's a bonus. You know what I'm saying? Endurance is the more important thing, because Sanctuary at that point doesn't really matter. If you already have 3-up rollables, who cares about 2-up rollables? But the 2-up invulnerable would be from shooting too. But the main reason you take those weird storms is because of their shooting attack.
Yeah.
But I also want to make sure that we put a caveat on, and it's like, if once you hit and run out and you're like, let's say, Warcon, Gore Chosen or Gore Packs with a bunch of blah, blah, blahs, it's like you got all these models. Well, once you are all tight knit, dude, roll your consolidate roll of a 3 or less. And the Plasma Obliterator makes you pay for it. Like, literally, I'm going to hit and run
no
out.
matter what you roll, you're not going to be faced as efficiently as you would have been in movement phase. Haspel can literally, he can bait you into a charge. All consolidations are done. He boosts out. You can roll a 6. You're not going to space your unit out the way you want it to. They're all going to get hit by that apocalyptic reroll, miss hits, ignore cover, blast, and then you're going to lose a lot of guys.
Strength 7 AP2, absolutely. And it goes a lot to, like, let's just put in perspective, like the Bark Star, because that's what you're going to see a lot at LVO, where you've got like 75 dogs, a bunch of Iron Priests, and this. So, like, I truly believe where 40K is going, especially with the new Belisarius or Bilbo Baggins and the Saint. You're going to deal with Millistorm Priest. You're going to deal with Death Stars that are unkillable. I don't care what touches them. I don't care if your army, if your 1,000-point or 1,500-point unit has rerollable blah 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 and all the blah 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 zealot, and it doesn't matter, as The Rock would say, what your offensive capability is. A 2-up rerollable, I don't care if it's a 2-up rerollable into a 4-up into a 5-up rerollable, feel no pain, it's not enough. A Millistorm Priest paired with a Saint and Shield Eternal, Chapter Master, and Cowl is unkillable. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the other models are. So what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to do it in combat. So what you're telling me is Haspel has all the durability that is needed to withstand 100% capability of offensive output from the opponent to still be able to survive it, hit and run out, and then be able to do all the power that needs to have happen to kill the other opponent's unit. I see. It sounds like it's pretty good.
It is, and he has a lot of objective secure units in this army for grabbing them objectives in the LVO and the ITC mission format. But also he has the backup mini star, and we talked about this earlier. Yeah. The Wolfen. He still has the Wolfen.
Yeah. Wolfen with a Rune Priest running with them, because the Wolfen go down to bolters. That's what they die to.
Yeah, so you guys probably heard us on the webcast and talk about how good Wolfen are. All right, let's put it in perspective. My buddy Luke called, and I said this earlier, and said, hey, do you think Wolfen can kill X? Do you think Wolfen can kill this? And so finally I had to tell him when he called, it was like, look, dog, you don't have to ask me anymore if you think that my personal opinion of Wolfen can kill something. You need to start asking me, can Wolfen kill X and still survive? Because I haven't really figured out what the hell Wolfen can't kill if they're going to die also. Because when they charge, and 9 times out of 10, it takes a lot.
If you want to answer that question, just watch the last guerrilla battle report between me and Mike Haspel. If you want the correct answer, what can Wolfen both not kill and die to?
Oh,
yeah,
I like that.
Along with the Thunder, so basically, along with the Thunderwolves too. If you want to see what what kind of combat both those entities can't be in at the same time and win and also all die, go revisit that battle report.
It's got to. And I want you guys to know I have not seen that, and I feel bad because I haven't seen this epicness. But it sounds like, in my opinion, the only thing that it would have to be is like a perfect storm of like a unit that is high toughness, invisible,
it's my wombo combo that I do, like with my chaos spawn. It's literally
a two up save on your spawn.
I'll just take them to a 3. Literally, because I use
gotcha.
Because you know how I play Second Powers, and so I am one of the only guys out there who uses the Bellstar Marmon for one of my sorcerers. So I use 4 sorcerers, but only 3 in the conclave. So I have the Bellstar, and I also always run 2 Tzeentch Heralds to dual reason. If I don't get forewarning with the Bellstar, they roll until they get it, because they can roll in divination as well. So my wombo combo is literally, they have a 4-up invulnerable. Now they have a 3-up invulnerable, because all my Cabal cares about is getting Sanctuary and Endurance. That's the only 2 powers that matter. So we roll until we have those, and most of the time we have them. So what he had to deal with was a unit of toughness 6 guys, 3 wounds each, 3-up invulnerable, 4 feel no pain, and your weapons aren't strong enough to take away feel no pain because we're toughness 6.
Yep. You don't have force attached to it. So yes, under those specific parameters.
And then one by one. And Typhus was in my unit. In this unit, I dragged Typhus around. Typhus also now is wombo combo enhanced. He's Eternal Warrior. He's got the 4-up invulnerable. He's got the 3-up invulnerable now. He's totally wombo comboed out the ass, right?
You, sir, as people can relate to the webcast, you, sir, are a Moby Dick.
And so it was hilarious watching Typhus just wade his way through everyone finally, and it just force activated, hammer hand. He's coming at you strength 8 and just instant killing, over and over again. And it was horrible because like I kept rolling like 6s on the demon weapon. I'm like, this is the turn I'm going to kill all the Thunderwolves. And then that'd be the turn, Hassel makes 100 3-up saves. Then the next turn I roll a 1 on demon weapon, take a fucking wound, come in with 4 attacks, needing 5s to hit 5 times, wound 4 times, and he fails 4 saves. I was like, really, Typhus?
I love how this is mathed out, but shy of what the exact parameters of what
psychic shenanigans are the only thing. Psychic shenanigans, Death Stars, the only things that can really beat these other types of Death Stars.
Absolutely, and not even just Death Stars, but we're talking about a squad of 5 Space Wolves. I want you guys to know, if you haven't played against Space Wolves, and specifically the Wolfen, they are no joke. There is no games being attached to them. Like, they play none of that shit. They quit school because of recess. Any other adjective that I can try to describe how good Wolfen actually are in close combat. Now, their downfall, their Achilles heel is they will literally die to 4 drop pod Stormbolters. Like, that's just it. They only have a 4-up save, depending on if they have the storm shields. I like configurations of 5, 6, 7, 8 Wolfen that have a mix of different weapons. I do not believe, because of all the different layer attacks, that they all need to have storm shields. So I like to have some have a couple claws, some have some axes, the great axes, some have. Absolutely, and they all have feel no pain.
So there's a good mix. Definitely a good mix is, I think, where it's at with the Wolfen, like you said.
Yeah, and because what happens is, so let's just use obviously the most, we'll say one of the most advantageous units to get them in close combat with is a Night Titan, right? So Night Titan, I charge in at initiative step. I use my lightning claws, or excuse me, my frost claws, or whatever they're called. They're strength 8 too, homie. Let's not get it twisted. Like, I am coming in hot with all the strength 8 and higher with the Wolfen. They don't have no bullshit attacks, So they're coming in at that. They're coming in with great axe attacks at initiative, right? And then the Night Titan comes in and swings at initiative 3 or 4 or 2, depending on if it's
4. Oh no, I killed 2 of your guys. Oh, you killed 2 of my frost claws? All right, immediately get to attack again. Now you're dead.
So I've done 15 strength 8 attacks at initiative, and then your step goes, you kill 2 of them. So then I do another 8. So now I'm at 23 strength 8 attacks before initiative step 1 goes. Now initiative 1. Then I go I've got 2, and we're just talking a 5-man unit. And now I throw in another 10 strength 10 attacks because of my Thunderhammers, right? So if you aren't dead yet, now you stomp. Then your stomp goes off and you kill one of them. Whoop. Now I get another 5 attacks. Like, it is unreal, the layer of attack that there's no safe way to do it.
There are little bomb moving around the battlefield that is impossible to ignore. And I love double mini star. I think that's one of the coolest ways to play 40K, because obviously, like I said, we're going to LVO, so we're playing as hard as we can, but also we're playing as hard as we can within the confines of our hobby love. And Haspel is playing a very cool Death Star. But he's still playing his love, which is Space Wolves. And he's also playing his other love, which is Sisters of Battle. He's playing them to the maximum level that he can and still bring his favorite fortification, the Plasma Obliterator. There are absolutely elements in this list that have been omitted, even though they're good, and things that have added for coolness flavor. That's a great list.
It's a great list. It's a great list. Well, look, we're kind of our backs are against the proverbial time wall. Kenny, break it down. Let us know real quick. We know we've been seeing it on the internet. Let us know what you're going to be playing.
So obviously I'm playing Chaos. The Watane clan didn't get done in time. Though the Watane clan ain't nothing to fuck with. The Watane clan is a personal endeavor of mine. You guys been watching on Twitch, could not get it done in time and still be a good businessman. So what I've done here is I've borrowed some minis from our friends at Top Miniature Painting, which you guys have seen featured in a battle report before. So they've been kind enough to let the laboratory have models, and I'm using those models. I'm using the plague drones, the plague flies. So I'm running Chaos Demon Cat, double mini star, as you just heard me say. I'm a fan of it. I'm running 2 5-man drone units, which are pretty robust. 5 plague drones, 3 wounds each, 5 up unvulnerable, shrouded, all in its stats line. Defensive grenades, everything. They have 3 attacks base. They have poison and rust. And I always upgrade to have poison 3, so they always wound on a 3. It's a great configuration. Not to mention, they always glance vehicles on a 6. We talk about Wolfens taking on Night Titans? These guys take on Night Titans just as easily. They literally, you come in with a bucket of dice and you're like 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. There it is. That's how they do. And then, so I have 2 of those drones stars. Then for my HQ, I have 2 Heralds of Nurgle. This is my favorite way to run them. I run them on Pelican, and the Pelican gives them +2 to their wounds, +1 attack, I think that's it. But it's awesome, right? So now you've taken a Herald and you made him a Chapter Master. So sort of a Chapter Master. He's a 4 wound model now. Still T5, he's still got a 5 up and vulnerable, and now he has more attacks. I run them real cheap, greater gift, lesser gift. And the reason I do that is, unless you roll something amazing, you take a greater ether blade and a lesser ether blade. Those are both specialist weapons. Now he has an additional +1 attack. Mofo's coming in hot with 6, strength 6, AP 2 attacks, because he's already strength 5 base and he's got master crafted. All on his own. That's like a fucking 6 attack relic blade. Right there, out the gate. He's only 140 points. And he has fecundity, so he gives the entire unit, including himself, feel no pain. It's a great force multiplier. I found a way, no psychic powers whatsoever. We have Shrouded, one of my favorite powers of all time, comboed off of Feel No Pain. So you're running around with a 2-up cover save if you play it smart, followed by 5-up. And even if someone ignores cover, you still have a 5-up, 5-up. And one of my favorite greater gifts to roll for, if I get it, I stick with it. It's always rerolls and vulnerables. If he rolls that, you keep it, and you just take the lesser use of blade, sacrifice an attack, still have the AP2 strength 5 attacks, but now you reroll vulnerables, and we've talked about this with Baller Sirius. What's the math on this, Juice? I have a 5-up invulnerable, rerolled into a 5-up invulnerable with 5-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
5. You've seen it.
2-up save, right?
2-up save. That's 2 invulnerable. So this guy has that potential. He also has the potential to have Armor Bane, Flesh Bane, a lot of cool abilities, right? So I've got 2 of these guys. They're slow moving guys. So I'm using the aforementioned escape hatch trick. I use a bunker with escape hatch. They jump out of the bunker and link up with the fast moving flies on turn 1. And them flies are real fast because they're jet pack cavalry. They get an assault move. So we're going to move them up 12. The guy's going to link up in front of them out of the escape hatch. Then they're going to do 2d6 further. They're going to go 20 inches on turn 1 and you grill. Meanwhile, so that's the balls of my list, right? what we have in that CAD after that is we actually have 6 troop choices, 6 actual individual troop choices, 5 units of Nurglings, and people forget how good Nurglings are. A minimum base unit of 3 bases is 12 wounds. So for 45 points, you have 12 toughness 3 wounds that are demonic. They're swarm. They're shrouded. And my favorite thing, like my literal favorite thing is they can go to ground pretty much anywhere because you don't give a fuck once they're in position. And they're just going to have a 2-up cover save right there because they're shrouded. But additionally, there's a rule that everyone forgets that Nurglings have. This is a 45-point unit, okay? 12 wounds. We just talked about 12 wounds and shrouded. They also come with infiltrate.
Yeah, that's gangster. And come to find out, bolters don't kill that unit.
No, man. Literally.
It's impossible.
No. Yeah. So I got 5 of those units that have infiltrate. So I deploy last to get into all the best positions. And then I have a unit of plague bears that stay in the bunker. They stay behind. I got this cool little, because a lot of people forget that you can assault out of a fortification, repel the defender. So a lot of people will come back to your fortification like they're going to take your objective that it's within 3 inches of, and they get close to it, and then all of a sudden 10 plague bears get out and charge you. And they charge you in such a way that they're within 3 inches of the objective and you're not. And my favorite thing to do is I take the plague banner on them. A lot of people have never seen anyone use it, which gives them 2+ poison for 1 round of combat. So all of a sudden I hit you with 10 dudes, 20 attacks that wound you on 2s, no matter what. And all of a sudden you're like, damn, I lost more guys than I thought I was going to lose. So that's kind of one of my last contingencies. But holding down the flanks of my army is 2 Knight Titans, a Forsworn Knight Detachment, 2 Nurgle-themed Titans. Now, these models were provided by Ironheaded, one of my personal friends. He's the official mod of my Twitch channel. You can check him out on YouTube. You can check him out on Twitch. He streams on Saturdays. You can check him out on Facebook, Ironheaded. Dude's a beast. He built us a Nurgle-themed, Renegade-style Forge Roll panels, Nurgle all day, and then another one that's Death Guard themed. They're both fisticuffs coming in with Thunderstrike Gauntlet and Reaper Chainsword, literally all out, super cheap. I've got all the magnetized parts so they can be anything, but I'm running them this way because I don't care about a battle cannon. I'm going to move these guys and run them every turn, and I want to have more D attacks. That's really like kind of my one thing with these guys. So they can cover the hard flank while the drones take the middle of the table as I rush across the table. And really, now I've got 6 little dudes on all the objectives, and you got to get through all this. They can converge on one location versus a Death Star like my man Haspel. Going to have to go into any combat with both knights, and I'm going to have to, no matter what, under any circumstances, allow the Death Star to charge me. I have to be like, I will outcage you, because meanwhile I'm going to sneak up my drones all in your backfield, and my Titans are going to be right here, and if you're going to go after those drones, you have to give up a charge, and you're going to have to gamble that I'm not going to make it rain 6s on stomps this turn.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can play against Death Stars like Mike Castles with what I got.
And to be honest, you don't want to be in a position where D3 stomps is solid. Like if you're telling me for me to win the game and for Kenny to win the game, he's got to roll on his 2 D3s. He's got to roll a couple 6s. There's no way I can say he doesn't have the.
It's hard to control the spacing of your models in an assault plus in a consolidation. Like almost all you need ever is 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like 1 is like crippled the unit. They can't hurt me.
Yeah, and you want to know why you really only need 1? Because like you said, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get what you want on your first placement. So it's not like you have to sacrifice one of your rolls of a D6 and like, oh man, I wasted my 6 on the first roll where I only got a couple sisters in power armor. Like I'm literally get to try to funnel as many of those D3 into the spot exactly where I want. Yeah,
and a great point here is like this, like when I play with my 2 Knight Titans and they're in that situation where they're both going to stomp, I look my opponent in the eye and they say, real quick, I'm just gonna let you know this. Like, let's say the guy's playing like Marines or anything like that, Death Stars, whatever. And I'm playing in a tournament. I'm looking right now and say, look, man, I literally only care about 6s. Any roll I roll that's not a 6, not even going to fucking waste the 15 minutes on the clock in between stomps. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's a 2. Oh, I got 6 guys. Okay, let me pick up 6 dice. Let me roll a wound. And I'll take you 3 up armor saves. Not gonna do it. Literally, I'm gonna roll 2d6. Oh, look at that. We got 5 stomps. I'm gonna place it. I'm literally gonna say, we know this is where I'm going first and this is where I'm going second. I'm just gonna drop 5 dice. No 6s. Don't worry about it. Not roll anything. Go. Your turn. That's caveated into like one of my reasons I play this list versus my normal psychic shenanigans is because at a competitive tournament like this, I need to get all my turns in because 3 hours is just not enough in 7th edition, especially with how mighty and how much girth and length both are in all these armies now. I'm going to play my first 2 turns are going to be 8 minutes long.
Yeah, and to be honest, like when you are taking and you just laid it on the line of how good Nurgle's swarm bases are with their high number of wounds, their high number or their low save that they're going to be able to get, low as in a positive, with Shroud and everything else, like you're trying to play for the late game. You're not saying that you got a bunch of models that are going to die within the first 3 turns. Like you are here for the long haul.
Exactly. That's kind of a lot of the armies right now that have a lot of success in the LVO are not really that tested in turn 5 and turn 6. Because if you just know that, Maelstrom scoring ends a turn before the game turn that actually ended the game. And then let's say the average game is ending on turn 4, which is a pretty realistic number. You're saying I can recklessly sacrifice this many units a turn to still win the game, let's say with a Gladiator Strike Force. But at that pace, can you recklessly sacrifice it for 5 turns?
No, absolutely not. And that's a great thing of, you look at a Gladiator Strike Force and all of a sudden you're like, my entire army came to bear and I only killed like 3 or 4 of your transports. And you're like, wow, that's great. I love it because I still have my whole army. You haven't even gotten through my free points. But guess what happens if you don't have the offensive capabilities? On turn 2, I take some damage. But let's, for example, say Warcon. I only kill 3 or 4 troop choices or dedicated transports. Got it. You actually don't get to kill much because a Shroud Psalm is up for me. Then I kill another 3 or 4. Then on turn 3, I kill another 3 or 4. Then on turn 4, you have like 4 units left.
And even though you don't have defensive doctrines anymore, their offensive output is greatly reduced.
Absolutely. And so now I go offensive. Sometimes the best defense is good offense. So now it's like no defense now. I'm going to go twin linked, or twin link plus high bliss skill and everything else depending on my doctrines and cannicles. And I'm going to try to pick up as many models as possible. So,
and those are real important strategies. As you can see, Haspel favors combined arms, mixed arms. He has an incredibly deceptively high amount of shooting in his Weirdstone Brotherhood. He can and is a plasma obliterator. He has 2 really interesting solid ways to shoot, and then he has cool little cleanup angles with like las cannons and stuff, right? And then he has 2 Death Stars. He has literally a very balanced approach to the game. I'm going to do this from this range. I can do this at this range. I can get in the mix here, and I can hold the line here, and I can score objectives with these transports. Very classical style. My style has always been 100% movement-based close combat. And I don't necessarily mean I play armies that crush you in close combat. That's never been really my thing. My thing is I can endure close combat. I play a game, I often, because I've been playing the Chaos for so long, I play a game where like I'm playing to win the mission, which doesn't always mean take all your models off the table. And that's kind of like what my army is built to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's built to win the mission. Lastly, before we get out of here, guys, give us a breakdown with now seeing the LVO missions. There's some of us that don't play it. Some of us don't get a chance to play in the LVO format missions. And there's a lot of us listeners that play only LVO missions. Now that you look at it, now that you know the time restraints, now that you everything, what is your golden nugget of advice from each of you to going into LVO?
I'll add one thing for that question. I'll let Haspel answer first. In addition to one golden piece of advice, what is the record you're shooting for? Like how many wins, how many losses? We're playing 9 games, me and Haspel are total.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's what I would throw in to anybody going to LVO. Don't think you're going to win the whole thing. I see a lot of people talking about stuff and how their lists are super tight and all this and everything. It's like, if you have it in your head that you're going to win, there's 500 people playing. You're not winning. You're just not. There's one person going to win, and that person.
Matt states that if you're listening to this statement, it's not you.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it's a game based on luck. So you could have the tightest army ever, and it's still a dice game.
Yeah, and what's the thing is, and that's the thing is, like, that doesn't hold through in the early games a lot, in a lot of tournament structure. Like, your baller list and your baller tactics will get you out of bad dice rolling situations in the early portion of the tournament. But now that you're being matched with, other hardcore lists, other hardcore tactics, it will, things like who went first, who went last, who passed their armor saves at this moment. And a lot of that's out of your control.
Yeah, so that would be my first thing I would say. And then the record I'm going for is I literally don't care about the actual LVO at all. My experience has been generally bad. I'll be honest with that. But the first time I went, I played a really weird, like, Blood Angels Imperial Fist army, but it was fun to play. And then last year I played Grey Knights, which was frustrating as all get out. It was very frustrating. But on Sunday we have RTTs that are going to go on, and my goal is to win the RT. That's really honestly the way I'm going. The first 2 days are warm up for me, and I'm actually bringing a backup list that I was able to.
Yeah, you told me that you told me your goal is to win to win your bracket on Sunday.
On the Rogue Trader on Sunday.
Because if you guys don't know how it works, we're playing 6 games in the grand tournament, the 500-person tournament. Now, only the top 8 goes on to play on Sunday. Everyone else is signed up for the Sunday tournament. And the Sunday tournament is an official ITC tournament. It's actually considered the first tournament of the new season. And the way they do it is they take everybody in there and randomly file them into 8-person mini tournaments. So you're playing in a win-loss, I guess not a win-loss, but sort of a win-loss if you're trying to win it. You're playing in an 8-man bracket, 3 games. Whoever has the best record at the end of those 3 games wins that tournament. That's official ITC. That's the first way to get on the board for the ITC Pro Tour. Winning your 8-man bracket. Mike Haspel is calling a shot saying he's going to win that bracket.
Yeah, but I literally don't play the ITC Pro Tour, so I could give a shit about that, honestly.
It'll be awesome if for like a week you're like one of the highest rated players.
I don't even track it. I don't look at it. I don't do anything with it. But to me, it would be cool to win that. And if I don't, that's fine too.
Before we get out of here, everybody, I want to make sure that we lay on the line exactly what's going to be going down at LVO as well. Great friend, personal friend of the show, like everyone else here, Austin A. Dog Pimp himself of the South, is actually in contention to be I don't want to overextend actually as if he's not a phenomenal player and I'm surprised about it, but he is actually in contention to win best renegade player. There's him and someone else. We were talking.
Probably Gareth is probably in the running.
I can't remember who it was, but so he said he was like literally if it wasn't for that he wasn't even going to play Renegades. He was going to play another army, but because he plays so well, I think he took 3rd or 4th overall at 4th overall at Nova. And plays very well at some other local Virginia events, and all the guys in Virginia, all the tournaments that are run are all LVO based or ITC tournament bracket based. His points were looking really good. So Austin A. Dog is potentially, I'm not even going to say potentially, he has actually already won Renegade, best Renegade 40K player in the history of ever.
What's crazy about this is a lot of people that we talk about are going to be there. The great Marcus Parkus is going to be there.
Yep, absolutely. I just talked to him earlier today.
Gareth Hunt, who's been around the 40K Wrecking Crews days for a long time. I think he might be the other Renegade because he was actually the first guy I ever heard talk about the
Ordnance Tyrant.
Ordnance Tyrant.
Well,
he was.
Gareth won a couple years back, didn't he?
Not LVO, but he has won literally every.
Maybe I'm thinking of Feast of Blades or something.
He won in Our Boys year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he won literally the whole Our Boys 1 year. With
Gareth is an animal. Yeah. Matter of fact, he was when the first artillery came out at the end of 4th and beginning of 5th, like when artillery came out in its finest, Gareth was the front runner who was playing it to the max.
No doubt. So a lot of people years talk about are going to be there. We're going to be there. And like we said, we gave you our army list breakdowns because we do plan on putting together the sequel of our guerrilla battle report there on that Thursday. You can find us till about 9. Come say hi to us, guys. If you're wearing this is real. If you're wearing any t-shirts, any long war t-shirts, any keep an icy t-shirts, and you always keep the clean t-shirts, find us. If you have a marker on you, we will devalue your shirt for you, no charge, by putting our signatures on them.
True story. That shit will happen. Also,
we will ruin that ass.
Also, I know we just laid a lot of information down on you about what's happening in LVO, everything else. We went into the webcast. We started talking about Adepticon, everything else. It is going to be unreal. Adepticon. Keep your eye out on the carts. There's a potential if it hasn't happened already. We're trying to figure out either way. There's a new 24 tables that have opened up to us. We're going to have a potential of 74 two-man teams for our doubles event, bringing the hobby back event. It is going to be a glorious, majestic, unicorn-like. And if you're not with it, well, then you know what they say. You know what Ricky Bobby said, if you don't chew Big Red.
Then fuck you.
There it is. There it is. So,
like I said, I know literally every quote in every movie as long as you're talking about Talladega Nights.
That and Independence Day. Yes.
And Bad Boys too.
So, absolutely. Well, guys, look, best of luck to you at LVO. Literally knock them dead. Not figuratively.
But you talking about literally?
Literally, if you need to knock a motherfucker out, just do it.
I do have the hobo stunner now, which I showed you guys like 2 webcasts ago.
It's a real move.
No, you remember? But it finally came in the mail. My hobo stunner.
Oh yes, are you bringing it with you?
I'm bringing it with me just in case I need to literally knock some people out.
Yes. Security officers, don't worry. This is jewelry. It is not a weapon.
This is jewelry. I actually carved on it, hobo stunner.
Yep. Officer, I don't like being socially profiled right now because my jewelry decisions.
Yeah, this is a personal decision. Get out, get off me, psycho.
Get away from me. So, all right, gentlemen. Well, without a doubt, thank you everyone for joining in. If you haven't already, stop what you're doing. Head on over to thelongword.net and become a veteran of the Long Word today.